Hi, in this video, I'm going to share what I'm doing to increase the value of my skills in the marketplace and ultimately bring in more income. I am on a journey to improve my financial situation, and one of the biggest things that I am actively working to do is bring in additional income. Because there's only so much you can cut from your lifestyle, right? That budgeting is great and it's super important to play good defense when it comes to your money, but there's only so far you can cut. And once that ends, it's really up to your offense, right? You have to have a good offense with money, and I want to bring in more income in order to get to a better place financially. And I know that I will need to do that if I'm going to make any significant financial progress. So this is what I've done. And my idea for this sort of series, I upload currently on Tuesday and Thursday. And on Tuesdays, I talk about how I save money. And on Thursdays, I talk about how I make money or, again, increase the value of my skills in the marketplace, because it's kind of a fine line. I don't want to be one of those people that just talks about things and doesn't take action, which is why I make myself take action on one of those two things, either saving money or making money. And B, when it comes to making more money, I find that there is a balance between doing things in the hustle, the temporary hustle that you can do for like $5, $10 an hour, and putting in the thought work to do something that will earn you $50,000 more down the line. So that is what I'm working on. So for me, an example would be, do I list things on eBay? Do I really try to get my listing count up? Do I do things like take a babysitting or a job walking job, like something temporary to kind of make more money? And do I spend my time doing that, which is so exhausting and very labor intense, but it does bring money, and it does bring money in fairly quickly. I would say on average, given what I have to sell, it would go for, again, I'd probably be around that $10 to $20 range per hour based on the amount of things that I can sell and what I'd likely bring in, the amount of time it would take to process all of that with the dialogue and then the shipping and whatnot. So there's that sort of short-term income, and then there's the longer-term income, which for me would be, again, increasing the value of my skills, improving my resume, improving my sort of networking, maybe taking another certification course that would help me further on the line with my career, which is what I ultimately want to be doing. I don't want to be having $30 conversations. I want to be having $50,000 conversations. That's my goal, because 5 years from now, I want to be making at least double what I'm making. And I know that that would be within my skills. Whether or not that's in my current ability to execute now is a whole other question. So I will tell you I'll give you more background on that and what's going on. So I actually have a family friend. I have a friend, he's my money mentor. He's 86 years old. And I met him when I was playing with the symphony. Then I ended up serving on the board. Long story, it's a lot fancier than it sounds. I basically just sat in the room. Sometimes I took notes, and I was very graciously allowed to be part of the board, so for a lot of years. And I met this gentleman in that capacity, and at first I thought he was kind of patronizing, and I was not a huge fan of his. Then, during the pandemic, he and a dear friend of his kind of got together and completely turned around the trajectory of the orchestra. They fundraised, and they applied for grants, and were just so calm and methodical and understanding, and their results spoke huge volumes, and I was just blown away. So I kept in contact with this one gentleman, because I saw his gains in the real estate portfolio, because he had taken a very small endowment that we had, and he just exploded it. They took everything out of there was something that tanked right before the pandemic. I can't remember. They took all our holdings out of that and then put it into real estate. And it was just incredible, the gains that they saw. I was shocked and very impressed. So I kept in touch with him, and he's kind of been my mentor for the past 3 years. And I had a call with him in October of 2021. And I said, hey, these are my details. Can you give me some advice? And he was saying, you have very modest assets. And I'm like, no kidding. I'd like to acquire more. And he's like, in order to do that, you just have to make more income to invest. And he told me that I was grossly undervaluing my skills. And I just chatted with him recently, and he said, yeah, that was the problem. Like, he recalled from 3 years, and he's had some health issues. So God bless and God keep him. But he remembered right from then that was my issue. And I'm like, it's still my issue. And now with a child, it's having to navigate, my challenge is navigating childcare, which is unreal in this part of the country, which again is kind of par for the course. But I mean, we're talking $4,000 a month. It's $3,800 a month for the childcare by us. $3,800 a month, which would be my entire salary. So because I don't make New York dollars, we live in Manhattan, but I don't make Manhattan money, which would again be a goal, is if we're going to live in this part of the country, to make that salary. That would be nice. So long story to say, what have I done this week to increase the value of my skills in the marketplace? And that is something that I literally just right now before I filmed this video did. And I've been on my LinkedIn and I've been updating my resume just to stay current with the skills that I'm currently using. And what I do is I have job alerts on for my title. I'm an account manager, an account executive. I think the title is manager now, which is such a broad term, and it can be mean so many different things. It can be from the top of the project to like the bottom of the project. It's pretty much a mid-level title right now for me, but I mean, the salary band can vary so widely. So right now I am on the very low end of that. So what I do is I have an alert set up on LinkedIn, and every time either a match comes in that's a partial match for my profile, or something that sounds interesting, working for a company that I find interesting, I will go on that job listing and I will look at the qualifications, and I will, if it applies to me specifically, I will take that and I will sort of tweak my resume, and I will use the wording that they use in my resume, which is what I would do if I was applying for jobs. So that is the first thing that I did. That's what I did. I'm doing actually right now and trying to make it a habit, just as a practice, to stay current in the marketplace. And again, what my skills are worth, which I am, again, actively working on improving. I am so pleased and feel very very lucky fortunate to work for the company that I do. I have an excellent work-life balance. My team is fantastic, and that has not always been the case. And I really appreciate the ability to work from home and be flexible as long as the work gets done. They're not too specific, too particular. I do have some sort of ad hoc meetings I have meetings with my team, and then I have a couple of meetings with clients. I would say I have 3 to 4 meetings a week. And then every other week I have client meetings, external meetings. So I always have childcare for that. So what I have done is I'm actively working on updating my resume. It's tough because if I were in any other position, I would need childcare, which would take any sort of salary differential. So that's always a challenge. And talking with my mentor, he fully agreed, and he said it's a very common problem, especially with women. And I fully agree that we as women undervalue ourselves grossly for what we do. And I would say employers are happy to take it, but employers are not going to say, oh, you deserve more. Like that's just not going to happen. So it's up to us, it's up to me to make the case and to say, okay, I deserve more and I'm going to go get it. So that is where I am right now. Ideally, again, this is a project. Because there's some variables. We'd love to move to a lower cost of living area. There's just so many opportunities here in Manhattan. Again, it's more difficult with childcare, having a preschool aged child. So that's what it is, and that's what I've done today to work on the long-term value of increasing my income. Ideally, as time goes on, I will add in some more temporary job income increasing opportunities. I had tried to kind of pull together my own hustle, like freelance side hustle, and it just, for the amount of time that I was putting into finding jobs, it just didn't equate. I would say I spent maybe 15 to 20 hours working on a resume specifically I was looking at copywriting, and then applying for jobs, and nothing came of it. And I'm like, okay, well, I could still continue to do that, and that may still be something that I want to invest in. But again, I can't negate the time that I spend working on something. Like if I spend 3 hours working on applying for a job and nothing comes of it, that's 3 hours I could have spent with my family. I could have spent relaxing. I could have spent recharging. Who knows? But again, I want to focus on getting the most I can out of my, valuing my time. And that's number one when it comes to. So valuing my time and building for the future. That's what I'm looking at. Okay, so this has been kind of a long-winded explanation of what I've done to increase my income this week in the future. So that's what we got. that's what I have for you. Thank you always for watching, and I really appreciate you, and I hope you'll keep watching. Bye.